The Pokemon Go community is experiencing some whiplash, and the reason why I say that is because yesterday, Niantic made a pair of announcements regarding some future content in Pokemon Go, and one of those announcements was received really well. But another announcement was made, and that one was met with a lot of criticism and a lot of disappointment, and I do think it's worth talking about, and that's precisely what I want to do in this video. Alright, what's happening everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's dive right into it. So like I said at the top of this video, Niantic made a bunch of announcements yesterday, and one of them is something that I am actually very much looking forward to. We're going to be getting ourselves a brand new Pokemon through the Spring into Spring event, and the way Niantic is handling the wild spawns of this event is actually quite unique, and I do think it's going to go over really well with the Pokemon Go community. However, they also announced Tyrogue Hatch Day, and this one was just a huge head scratcher. I really do not understand why Niantic has it set up this way. I mean, Tyrogue itself is not an exciting Pokemon, but yeah, it's really around the event bonuses as well as the monetization that players are complaining about. So we'll get more into that later, but first let's go over the details for this Spring into Spring event, because I do think before we get into the controversies, we should start off with some pretty good news. The Spring into Spring event is going to start on April 9th at 10 o'clock a.m. local time, and it's going to go until April 14th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time. The featured Pokemon for this event is going to be the brand new Pokemon Gossifleur, along with its evolved form Eldegoss. Both of these Pokemon are going to be obtainable for the very first time through this event, and you will not want to miss out on them. First up, let's talk about what's going to be hatching in eggs during this event. In 2km eggs, you're going to be able to hatch Magby, Budu, or Mantike, and then in 5km eggs, you're going to have access to Remoraid, Fletchling, as well as the new Pokemon Gossifleur. But next, let's talk about the wild encounters, because this is where this event gets interesting. First, throughout the entirety of the event, you're going to be able to see Remoraid, Fletchling, and Gossifleur in the wild, and both Remoraid and Fletchling are going to have an increased shiny chance, which is actually pretty good. Something you should keep in mind regarding these boosted shiny chances is that it's not revealed what the actual shiny chances are going to be. When they say that they're increasing the shiny chance, they could be increasing it by a very minimal amount, or it's going to be something that will actually be noticeable. We really cannot tell until this event actually starts, but typically it's not necessarily going to be a highly boosted rate. You're still going to have a hard time getting these shinies, but at the very least they're not going to be the full odds. But next, let's talk about what's going to be spawning in the wild aside from these three Pokemon, and they're basically going to be switching it up every 2 days. So between April 9th at 10 o'clock a.m., which is when the event starts, until April 10th at 11:59 p.m., you're going to see Marill, Lotad, Ducklet, Dewpider, as well as Lapras as an uncommon spawn. As you may have noticed, these are all water-type Pokemon, and even though this is a spring event, it's typically not themed around a particular type, but Niantic is definitely trying out something new here, and I'm all for it. But yeah, it doesn't end there. So between April 11th at midnight until April 12th at 11:59 p.m., you're going to see a bunch of fire types. Vulpix, Ponyta, Numel, Litleo, and Hisuian Growlithe are all going to be spawning in the wild. And then afterwards, from April 13th at midnight until April 14th at 8 o'clock p.m. local time, which is when the event ends, you're going to see a whole bunch of grass types. These include Oddish, Hoppip, Roselia, Cherubi, as well as Alolan Executor as an uncommon spawn. So yeah, I think this is actually really interesting, and I think it's going to go over well with the Pokemon Go community. I mean, it's not often that you see them switch out the event spawns midway through an event, and every time they do that, it actually goes over pretty well, because by the time you get to the 3rd or 4th day of an in-game event, it tends to get very boring and cumbersome because you're basically seeing the exact same Pokemon every single day with very little diversity. So I really like this idea, and I really hope it goes over well so they could try it again in a future event. But yeah, let's talk about the event bonuses which are going to be active during this event. We're going to have double the duration for any lucky egg that you use. Any Pokemon that you hatch is going to give you double the amount of candy, and then every egg that you place in incubators during this event is going to have a half egg hatch distance. And then you're going to have an increased chance to get shiny Remoraid and shiny Fletchling, which is something that I mentioned already. And then there's going to be a paid timed research during this event, which is going to cost $2 USD or the equivalent pricing in your local currency. And you're going to get 5,000 experience, 1 lucky egg, 2 super incubators, as well as encounters with Remoraid, Fletchling, and the new Pokemon Gossifleur. I'm not sure if these are going to be the boosted shiny spawns, just like the ones you're going to encounter in the wild, but I would assume so. So if you want to get yourself a high IV of either Remoraid or Fletchling, you might be able to get one through the purchase of this ticket. But do keep in mind, it's not going to be guaranteed. It's going to be pure RNG. If you feel like 1 lucky egg and 2 super incubators are worth $2, then yeah, that would be the only reason why you would want to buy this ticket. And then of course, just like with most other in-game events, there's going to be field research tasks, collection challenges, as well as Pokestop showcases during this event, and it's all going to be themed around the wild encounters. So yeah, it goes without question, super excited about this spring into spring event. I think there's a lot of cool things that Niantic is doing, especially around the wild spawns, and I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a pretty good time, and I do like the idea of them switching it up every so often so that it just doesn't get stale, because that's something that I noticed with in-game events. After the first day, it just seems like the wild spawns just kind of take over, and they just do not really generate a lot of hype and excitement, even if there is a brand new Pokemon. And I do think for Niantic to try this out, it could be something really good for future events. But yeah, speaking of future events, now let's talk about Tyrogue Hatch Day. So this is something that drew a lot of criticisms from pretty much every single Pokemon Go player, and it just seems like the sentiment right now is one of two things. Either one, people are really excited that they'll finally be able to get shiny Tyrogue. I really do not know why you would be excited for that particular shiny. Maybe if you're just simply a shiny collector. And then on top of that, there's a lot of players who are just flat out planning to just skip this event. They just do not want to spend the money. They do not want to waste their incubators. And I do think it's totally understandable when you look at the event details why they would think that way. So yeah, let's talk about the details for this event so that we could kind of go over why people are not happy about it. Tyrogue Hatch Day is going to be happening on April 6th from 2 o'clock p.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. local time. And the featured Pokemon is, of course, going to be Tyrogue. Now during this event, there's going to be a paid timed research, which is going to allow you to get double the amount of Stardust when you hatch Pokemon. You're also going to get 1 star piece, as well as 1 super incubator, as well as 2,500 experience. I do not know what this paid time research is going to cost, but if it's anything more than $1, then this is actually not worth it at all, because these items are really not that much. But during this event, you're also going to have the following event bonuses: double the amount of candy when you hatch Pokemon, an increased chance of hatching shiny Tyrogue, and an increased chance of receiving 2-kilometer eggs from spinning Pokestops. And then during this event, there's going to be an extended bonus, which is going to go from April 4th at 10 o'clock a.m. until April 6th at 5 o'clock p.m., which is going to give you a half egg hatch distance bonus, as well as field research tasks that's going to award you with Stardust and experience. So yeah, I think the biggest thing that players are criticizing is the fact that there's a whole bunch of really nice bonuses with this event, but you're not going to have access to them unless you pay for them. I mean, when it comes to hatch days, it's already a really expensive event because you need to use a lot of incubators, and incubators do not come cheap. So a lot of players feel like that alone was enough for them to monetize this hatch day. But on top of that, they're also having a bunch of bonuses that you will not have access to, and people are just really unhappy about that. They were just extremely disappointed. They feel like because Tyrogue is such a boring Pokemon to begin with no gameplay implications, it was really on Niantic to add something to this event to actually get players excited about it. But instead of just simply adding it, they're actually charging players for those bonuses, and I think that was just a very bad move. Unfortunately, this Tyrogue Hatch Day, I almost said Raid Day, yeah, that would have also been very uninteresting, but yeah, this Tyrogue Hatch Day is something that I just simply do not think players are going to care about. And unless you really want to get yourself a shiny Tyrogue, like that's the only shiny baby that has eluded you, I really do not think you need to care about this hatch day. I do not think any of the bonuses are going to be worth the price, and I do think that it's going to be better for you to save your incubators for a future hatch day, or even simply for any Pokemon that might come along within, I don't know, some sort of in-game event where a new Pokemon or a special Pokemon is going to be included in the egg pool. I think that's going to be much more worth your incubators, so I do think that this Tyrogue Hatch Day is definitely worth a skip. But in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Are you excited for either of these events, or do you plan to just skip both of these events, or one or the other? Definitely share your thoughts and your reasons for thinking those things down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that notification bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the absolute best way you could do that is going to be by joining my Patreon. If you decide to become a paid Patreon member, I'm going to add you to my Pokemon Go friends list. And that means for stuff like remote raids and the friendship system, like opening and sending gifts. If you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you're always welcome to do so by following me on social media. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to the platforms that you see on the bottom of your screen, look for Count Jinsula, and then make sure you give me a follow. That'll be a huge help. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, and love yourself today, and I'll catch you in the next one.